يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير.
Recording in progress.
صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Dear distinguished guest, let's make today be more memorable and accept this dance as our way to welcome you. Let us present the Bapang Mas dance presented by our students from Sangsekerta community and international students from Vietnam and Timor Leste. So, may I hear one round of applause again, everyone? Well, indeed, the dance was very, very mesmerizing. And I'm pretty sure that the next session will mesmerize all again. Because to be able to hold such a big event, we need to have someone who can turn the impossible to possible. And let me present to you the statement from the General Chair of ICoSDev. Let's give a warm round of applause to welcome Dr. Fardini Sabila.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished keynote speakers, honorable co-host representative, respected participant, and esteemed colleagues, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and warm greetings to all of you. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the 5th International Conference on Sustainable Development, proudly hosted by Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. This year, ICoSDev is held with a broad and inclusive scope consisting of 9 academic clusters representing faculties across UMM. Through these cultures, we aim to foster interdisciplinary dialogue, collaboration, and knowledge sharing that can contribute to addressing pressing global challenges. We are truly privileged to have with us distinguished keynote speakers from around the world: the United States of America, Philippines, Taiwan, Australia, Spain, Thailand, Malaysia, Austria, Portugal, Pakistan, and Timor-Leste. Your expertise and insight enrich the academic discourse of this conference and inspire us to think beyond interdisciplinary boundaries. Among them, we are especially honored to welcome Dr. Gailin Manalang, GR, from Philippines, and Professor Hui Wenchuang from Taiwan, who are present on site with us today. Your direct participation is a great encouragement to all of us here at Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. I'm also delighted to announce that this year's ICoSDev brings together over 500 participants from various clusters, reflecting the growing enthusiasm for academic collaboration and sustainable development. Our sincere appreciation also goes to our publishing partner, Knowledge, KNI, AIP, SHS Web of Conference, Bio Web of Conference, and ESSS Web Conference, which will ensure that the research presented here reaches a global audience. This conference would not have been possible without the collaborations of our 14 esteemed co-hosts: Universitas Bina Nusantara, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Asia University Taiwan, Shaoyang University of Technology Taiwan, National Chiayi University Taiwan, National Yunlin University of Science and Technology Taiwan, Universitas Internasional Semen Indonesia, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Universitas Islam Malang, Universitas Katolik Widya Mandira Kupang, Universitas Negeri Jakarta, Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Universitas Pendidikan Nasional Denpasar, dan Inisiatif Masyarakat Jurnal Indonesia atau IMAJI. Our sincere thanks to several co-hosts who are able to join us on site on these occasions. Your support and cooperations have been instrumental in bringing this event to life. We would like also thank you to Dr. Fauzan Aziman, ST, MN, the Director General of Research and Development, Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology of Indonesia, who is joining us online today for the continued support in advancing research, innovation, and international collaboration. Your encouragement has been invaluable in strengthening the academic culture in Indonesia and in supporting initiatives such as ICoSDev. Finally, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the leadership of Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang, especially to our rector, Professor Dr. Nazaruddin Malik, SAMSE, and all vice rectors, with special thanks to the Vice Rector 4, Bapak Muhammad Salis Yuniardi, MC and PhD. It is our sincere hope that this conference will truly embody our theme, fostering interdisciplinary synergy for a sustainable future. May the discussions and collaboration here not only broaden our academic perspective, but also generate real contribution to society and sustainable development. Thank you very much, and I wish you a fruitful and inspiring conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
University of Muhammadiyah Malang, UMM, has taken its part to contribute to the development of research and publications, emphasizing on the interdisciplinary collaboration approach to investigate various development problems and support the realization of sustainable development goals. The goals specifically refer to education, information technology, economic development, political and governance, ecology, agriculture, animal husbandry, human character and behavior, socioculture, public health, law, and artificial intelligence. This approach has been set towards the accomplishment of human development, local wisdom empowerment, and national development.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang seeks to actualize the interdisciplinary collaborative approach into an international conference under the theme of International Conference on Interdisciplinary Collaboration for Sustainable Development, fostering interdisciplinary synergy for sustainable future.
The international conference oversees 9 international conference groups. There are
Digital transformation in education, integrating new technology for future learning. Through its interdisciplinary scope and scientific rigor, the fourth ICoSDev aims to contribute meaningfully to the development of future-ready educational system supported by technological breakthrough.
Welcome to 6th International Conference of Food, Renewable Energy and Sustainable Agriculture, ICoSDev, held by University of Muhammadiyah Malang. Our theme this year is Development of Food, Renewable Energy and Sustainable Agriculture to support SDGs. The development of knowledge, application and technology aspect in SDGs focusing on the food, energy and agriculture need to be updated and discussed in scientific forum. The ICoSDev is a pivotal and beneficial gathering for scientists, researchers, students, and practitioners to network and discuss the current issues.
Smart materials and AI for sustainable energy infrastructure toward a better world. Advancing the global technology community, the ICoSDev is committed to promoting value-based and ethical research and advocating sustainable approaches in technology development.
integrating occupational medicine, clinical practice, and industrial hygiene for comprehensive workforce health. This conference aims to explore cutting-edge advancement, promote interdisciplinary collaboration, and assess the real-world impact of this development on individual and population health.
Innovation in psychological practice, new horizon in assessment and intervention. The ICAP Age highlights the evolving landscape of psychological practice by promoting innovative, culturally sensitive, and technology-driven approaches to assessment and intervention in response to modern society.
Applied Technology for Sustainable Health. This conference brings together global experts to explore innovations, challenges, and advancement in environmental health, fostering collaboration and research to improve healthcare, prevent disease, and promote well-being.
Hello, I am Rizky Febiani, a chairperson of ICoSDev 2025. The ICoSDev is where tomorrow's business takes a shape, a global gathering of visionaries exploring how innovation, technology, and sustainability are reshaping industry and setting the pace for the future of enterprise. Welcome here and get unforgettable experience. Thank you.
Islamic Studies in the Digital Era, Bridging Tradition, Innovation, and Sustainability. This conference aims to build a sustainable future through the wisdom of Islamic teaching, exploring how faith, finance, fairness, and stewardship come together to shape a just and resilient world.
Law, conflict, and humanity towards sustainable justice and resilient societies. Our theme underscores the urgent need to strengthen the international legal system to address the emerging challenges of large-scale conflicts. We generate comprehensive policy recommendations aimed at reinforcing international law. This international conference aims to disseminate ideas and experiences in implementing the interdisciplinary collaboration approach for sustainable development. ICoSDev serve an inclusive platform to inspire positive contributions for a better and more sustainable future. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the video we just watched, thank you. The video we just watched showing that we have clusters that are also currently having their international conference as well. And there are ICoSDev for the hybrid and also IContine. They are currently watching us live at the Race Hotel UMM. And the rest of the cluster will be held tomorrow. And INCLAR has successfully held last July. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon would not be complete without a welcome remarks from our Rector of University of Muhammadiyah Malang, represented by Vice Rector 4. We invite Dr. Salis Yuniarti to give the welcoming remarks and to officially open the ICoSDev UMM.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To the Honorable Professor Dr. Fauzan Aziman, STM Engineering, as the Director General Riset dan Pengembangan Kemdikti Saintek RI. To the Honorables, all speakers, all distinguished guests, respected leaders representing the co-hosts, and also from faculties and also from departments, and also to the great organizer, Bu Fardini, as the head of LPPI, and dear participants from around the world. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. On the behalf of our rector, I would like to say welcome to UMM and please apologize that he actually really want to attend this wonderful conference physically, but he is still in recovery process after quite unwell last week, and he sent the warmest regard for you all. And for me personally, it is with deep gratitude and also genuine excitement and a great honor for me that I welcome you to this UMM Annual International Conference or ICoSDev, which is this year is the 5th ICoSDev. And this year also have a strongly relevant topic, fostering interdisciplinary synergy for a sustainable future. And we gather here today at a moment in history when humanity faces profound challenges. But if we can see it in a more positive perspective, we can also say that this time also provide unprecedented opportunities. For example, climate change, global health crisis, food insecurity, technological disruption, social inequality, even sadly we still have to see and watch war in most areas of the world. But we believe we still have positive things, because at the same time, advances in science, technology, and human creativity also open up possibilities that we couldn't have imagined a generation ago. Now we stand at a crossroads. One path lead to deepening crisis, a worsening crisis. But in other path, it also, as I said, provide an opportunities. And which path we choose will depend on how well we can work together across boundaries. It all reminds us that actually no single discipline, no single sector, or a single nation can solve these issues in isolation. The complexity of our problems currently require us to think, act, and also innovate together. This is precisely the reason why we are here now. This conference is not only a forum for sharing knowledge, but also a space for weaving together diverse perspectives. A sustainable future cannot be achieved by science alone, by policy alone, or even by markets alone. It must be co-created by bringing together natural sciences and social sciences, technology and humanities, even global expertise and also local wisdom. So, sustainability is not the responsibility of one discipline alone. One against, this is not a responsibility of one discipline alone. It is the shared project of all humanity. Just to remind something that we experienced just a few years ago, something that we never thought that this will happen and we will experience, which is the COVID-19. We have to stay in our home for nearly 2 years. Every day we hear that our family, our neighbors pass away because of the COVID. We always fear even to say hello to our mother and father who live separately with us. But together we can solve it. And this proof that together we can solve the problem of this world. Because learn from the the fight against COVID-19, we learned that actually this is a combination of virology, data science, behavioral psychology, and also global governance. Actually, this is the same as with crisis energy, food insecurity, inequality, etc. that we also face today. Those all we face today, those all need our hands who have a strong willing to hold each other. So, interdisciplinary collaboration is not something luxury or even secondary need. This is a necessity. This is a fundamental need. And by fostering interdisciplinary synergy, we can create solutions that are not only innovative, but also inclusive. If we can do that, believe me, we build bridges of understanding that can transform challenges into pathways for a sustainable future. Above all, also let us remember that sustainability actually is not talking only about our generation. This is also not an abstract concept, because sustainability actually is the air of our children that will they breathe. The food future generation will eat. The peace our future generation will enjoy. And the dignity every human being deserves. So, what we do here in this room matters. Remember that. What we do here in this room matters. And on the behalf of the UMM leaders, I thank you for your commitment, your wisdom, and your passion. May this conference be a place where disciplines don't compete each other, but actually complements for each other. Where innovation is guided by compassion, and where new partnerships are manufactured for the sake of a better future. With that, I am honored to officially declare this conference open. May it inspire not only our mind, but also our heart. And may it light the way towards a sustainable future we can all share and prepare also for our future generation. Before I close my speech, please let me to read some pantun. You can answer with cakep if you sincerely want it. Pergi ke Malang mencari kopi.
Cakep.
This is the same with our guest from Taiwan coming here looking for coffee. Have you got it, the coffee? Not yet? Ya. Pergi ke Malang mencari kopi.
Cakep.
Singgah sebentar ke Singosari.
Boys.
Sinergi kita untuk sustainability agar dunia damai dan lestari. Once again. Yeah, the last one. I promise to you, this is the last one. Yeah. Beli sayur ke pasar Batu di pagi hari.
Cakep.
Ketemu teman belanja ditemani istri.
Boys.
Kalau mau bumi ini terus lestari, mari sinergi, jangan hanya selfie. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salis. I would like to ask you to step forward, and I would like to invite Dr. Fartini Sabila to join the Vice Rector to finally and officially opening this ICoSDev UMM by hitting the goal. Let's give a warm round of applause to celebrate this opening. Thank you very much, Dr. Salis. And I would like to ask you to come to the table where we see a book of ICoSDev. And please open the book in 1, 2, and 3. May I have one round of applause, everyone? This book symbolizes how many thoughts and breakthroughs coming alive in ICoSDev. Dr. Salis and Dr. Fardini Sabila, please get back to your seat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was in an event with Dr. Salis Yuniarti. He didn't give pantun the last time we met, but he said that Mbak Hana said, tak kenal maka tak sayang. The meaning is, when we don't know, we do not love. So, let me present to you the company profile of University of Muhammadiyah Malang.
Guys, this is Malang
and we are students of UMM. How exciting is it to be studying in UMM?
What's more,
this is so exciting!
Undergoing a series of processes in this wide campus resembles a commitment to excel. The tagline, "Each achievement is worth appreciation," is reverbing and proven to be real. International robotic contest winners are freed from writing theses. Filming novelist deserves the same scenario. Successful entrepreneurs are offered the same change. More success stories are ready to unveil.
synchronizing the student achievements, the campus itself hits marvelous. Accredited an excellent A from Bank PT. Granted ASEAN Energy Awards triggers UMM to be an energy-generating and saving campus. 13 times in a row awarded as the first-ranked private university in East Java. Central Laboratory guarantees its quality assurance. The quality is evident by being ISO 9001 and ISO 75025. Certified laboratories by National Accreditation Committee. Recognized beyond national scope, most study programs have been internationally certified and accredited by OwnQA, EAB, World Federation Medical Education, and more to go. In 2021, UMM is recognized by Unirank as the world's best Islamic university.
Ucapkan selamat kepada perguruan tinggi Muhammadiyah yang telah berhasil menduduki Top Islamic Universities versi Unirank, yakni Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang pada peringkat 1. Selamat dan sukses kepada perguruan tinggi Muhammadiyah.
I guarantee there are a lot more to come. UMM has shaped its international atmosphere. UMM students are welcomed to opportunities to study with foreign incoming students via HAPS or scholarships, to name regular track, KNB, Dharma Siswa, language and cultural immersion tailored by BIPA. UMM on-campus international corners offer cozy space, American corner, China corner, Thai corner, India corner, and Aussie Banget corner. UMM is renowned for its international community service programs and internship. International collaboration are overflowing. Let's say a collaboration with Temasek Foundation Singapore for community engagement in both countries, Confucius Institute China for lecturer and student exchange, ACICIS Australian inviting Australian scholars to dive into Indonesian cultures, and Midcare Japan promoting UMM graduates as a fast ticket to work in Japan. Last but not least, partnership with Erasmus Plus, European Union consortium offering international studies, teaching, and research in Europe, and many more. Wow! UMM is wow!
Study processes are enticing. UMM guarantees that the students will graduate in 4 years, be independent, and work.
Is that all?
That's not the end of the list. Character education remains the key. Character and leadership training equips freshmen with strong energy to impact their study. Islamic values are integrated during Quranic literacy program. A tailored course named Al-Islam and Muhammadiyah Studies exemplifies the vision. UMM students are honed to care about their make-boring societies.
Community Service and Partner Village Development Program is one of which. Social skills are sharpened. UMM lecturers also believe by their participating in community engagement programs in the areas of supervising tourism villages, agriculture, and partnerships.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That is our company profile from University of Muhammadiyah Malang. And dear participants, this event would not be complete without support from many institutions. Therefore, firstly, I invite representative from Universitas Bina Nusantara and University of Muhammadiyah Malang to come up to the stage. Hadirin yang berbahagia, boleh kami invite perwakilan dari Universitas Bina Nusantara dan juga Profesor Ilyas Masudin.
Itunya saya nggak perlu.
Here we witness the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between Universitas Bina Nusantara and Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. Let's give one more round of applause, everyone. This partnership is aimed to extending the collaboration between the two universities. And please show us the document. And there's one more. And let's take a picture of this beautiful moment. And let's show the partnership that that's just signed to the camera. And 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Yes, thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak Profesor Dr. Salis dan perwakilan dari Bina Nusantara, dan kami mohon untuk tetap di tempat dari Binus dan kami persilahkan may I ask the rest of the co-hosts that present today, Universitas Internasional Semen Indonesia, Inisiatif Masyarakat Jurnal Indonesia, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Universitas Islam Malang, National Chiayi University Taiwan, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, and Asia University Taiwan. And I would like to invite Dr. Salis Yuniardi to briefly give the token of appreciation. Sekali lagi kami memanggil dari Universitas Negeri Surabaya dan juga Universitas Islam Malang. Sekali lagi, I would like to ask the representative from National Chiayi University Taiwan and also Asia University Taiwan and also Universitas Negeri Surabaya to come up to the stage. Okay, and here we go. The first token of appreciation that we will give by Dr. Salis Yuniardi to Universitas Bina Nusantara. And then the second one to Universitas Internasional Semen Indonesia. Let's give a warm round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much for the contribution that you gave, our co-host. And the next is Inisiatif Masyarakat Jurnal Indonesia. On to the next. Inisiatif Masyarakat Jurnal Indonesia. Universitas Islam Malang. We will thank you very much from Universitas Islam Malang. Moving on to our next co-host that's coming all the way from Taiwan and bringing all the people here. We thank you very, very much. And this is National Chiayi University, Taiwan. And the last but not least, Asia University, Taiwan. Honorable mention for the rest of our co-hosts, Universitas Pendidikan Nasional, Chaoyang University of Technology, Taiwan, National Yunling University of Science and Technology, Taiwan, Universitas Katolik Widya Mandira Kupang, and Universitas Negeri Jakarta. And let's take a picture together on the stage. Satu, dua, tiga. One more time. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. And I would like to ask you to move forward. I would like to ask you to move forward here and we can have a photo together with the audiences. I would like to ask the audience to rise so that we can have this moment together. Bapak Ibu hadirin, kami mohon perkenannya untuk berdiri dan kita bisa mengabadikan momen ini bersama. Sekali lagi kami mohon Bapak Ibu untuk dapat berdiri dan kita bisa mengabadikan momen ini bersama. And also the speakers along with the head of the Scientific Publication Institute. Let us give the big smile, but not as big as Indonesia. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, and 3. Sekali lagi Bapak Ibu. 1, 2, 3. Boleh kita kasih love? Let's give us the love. Thank you. Satu, dua, tiga. Sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much and please get back to your seat. And I really appreciate our co-hosts that support this very, very special event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I promised you before that the Directorate General of Research and Development will be with us. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to have the keynote speech delivered by someone whose work has inspired many of us. I would like to invite to the screen Director General of Research and Development of the Ministry of Education, Higher Education, Science and Technology, Dr. Fauzan Aziman.
Thank you very much. Just checking, can my voice be heard in the room?
Yes, very clear, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. So allow me to share my screen. Thank you very much for waiting, and my apologies, deep apologies for being not at the time that expected due to another event that I attended just before this, and I also deeply appreciate for the invitation. Especially, we also would like to apologize that the minister is not able to join in person because he is now in a trip outside of office. And we also would like to appreciate the distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially to Pak Rektor, Professor Dr. Nazaruddin Malik, and then all the vice rectors, Professor Ahsanul Inam, Dr. Ahmad Juanda, Dr. Subeki, Ahmad Salis Yuniardi, PhD, and then Professor Dr. Tri Sulistianingsih, and also the directors for post graduate and deans and all the attendees and guests from overseas and also from Indonesia. So I would like to explain a little bit about our take on fostering interdisciplinary synergy for a sustainable future. My apologies that I think there is a mistyping on the screen. So let me fix it. My name is Fauzan Aziman. I'm Director General of Research and Development in the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology. So let's start with what we see today. And I think this is something that we acknowledge more and more. And then we are in the development where exponential of growth of technology is happening. But I think what I would like to stress that despite engineering technologies and then grow exponentially, but yet I think that it is still nowhere near the pace of our ideas. So idea will be very important and key to the technology development, and that is where we start. We also see that speed of innovation this day grows very quickly as well. So things that happen, say, for the innovation cycle for first wave in terms of water power, for example, back in 1785 to 1845. It took around 60 years. But then with time, so innovation cycle becomes shorter and shorter. And the last cycle, where we face a quite disruptive period, was when the introductions of internet, starting in 1990s up until around 2020s. But then what we are facing today is even faster, where AI, IoT, robots and drones, clean technology, they're all moving very fast. I mean, you can see from the right-hand side that battery adoption in Indonesia, here we expect that nickel will be used more and more in the world, but then the born of LFP starts to disrupt, say, starting in 2020s. And then now, if we look at the cars sold in Indonesia, 75%, they are all from LFP batteries. So we need to think carefully about developing technology at the same time as well to develop our policy. So with that in mind, we feel that it is very important that we integrate our technology development with the missions of the president and the vice president. So this is called Astacita. So there are 8 missions. And then mission number 2, 4, and 5, especially they are very close to our Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology. So on the left-hand side, you will see that the importance of national independence in terms of state defense and security system, self-sufficiency in food, energy, water, creative economy, green economy, and blue economy. And we also see that development of science and technology becomes the heart of our economic growth and also the way that we would like see it is distributed well within the country. Now, to combine both of this, science, technology, and then how we achieve our state defense, security system, national independence, and self-sufficient in food, energy, and so on and so forth, we do need to enhance our advanced downstreaming strategy, or in Bahasa Indonesia we call it hilirisasi, and the way industry will help to increase our domestic added value. So this is where industrialization and downstreaming becomes very much key. But then if we broken down all the programs that offered by the government, so there's 17 priority programs, and that includes from the self-sufficiency in food, energy, and water. And then also it goes through ensuring environmental preservation. And then also in the end, I think where it is very critical is how we re-industrialize our technology, adoption, and then how this preserve our cultural arts, creative economy, and in the end, it's all about sustainability. So sustainability is a key word where it does support a number of our priority programs. With that in mind, we feel that it is important that we introduce a new paradigm where higher education policy is not only on the higher education itself, but also trying to contribute to our economic development. So we develop a number of programs within our ministry, which essentially trying to build access to quality, relevant, and impactful higher education. So this is development of human capital. That is our baseline. Development of science and technology for our talents, growth, strengthening of scientific culture in R&D, and resolution of national, social, and economic problems. We also see that in the end, through the economic development, we would like to be impactful. So impactful, it means that we assist on how to improve our strategy and also impact on poverty alleviation, food self-sufficiency, energy self-sufficiency, and up to commodity downstreaming. So hopefully this gives a little bit of direction of travel where higher educations and economy starts need to be integrated well. Now, how we would like to do that? So we would like to do that through development of research, not only based on topic or product, but it will center around challenge or problems. So we do have that understanding real problems need by our society to be solved. That will improve our role of science and technology in the economic and social impact itself. So we are building our ecosystem. So our research-driven economic transition will be essentially part of our sustainable economic growth strategy. So deep tech, this is something which is nowadays becoming more and more important. So we feel as well that Indonesia, with more and more research university-based ecosystem, we would like to introduce deep tech to our universities. We also then try to build a commercialization roadmap. So our funding is designed in a way from upstream to downstream, and in each link well. But in the end, what's very important is partnership. So partnership is something which we can build integratedly. So we are working on a number of programs, including recent programs headed by the Ministry of Finance, where 200 trillion rupiah is being transferred from Bank of Indonesia to Association of our national banks. So we are working with Himbara or Himpunan Bank Negara, which essentially state-owned banks, that some of the technologies developed within universities, we would like to be useful for the economy. And then we are linking this through our banking system or strategic investment system. So in the end, it's partnership that is key. Now, let me go through an example where sustainability is really key for technology development and how fostering interdisciplinary synergy is very important. So as you can see that we do have a number of key material resources in Indonesia, whilst on the right-hand side, we are very active as well in adopting final products. And then those final products are now more and more driven by the energy or the green energy ecosystem. So now what we do need to build is how we improve our added values so that we are not only based on extractive economy, but more and more going towards product-based economy. So in doing so, we are trying to understand on product development, and then we broke down into few key components and trying to understand the development of materials and energy, because as you can see here, the energy flow and material flow, they are all connected. So, which also means that interdisciplinary is very much the core strategy which we need to build. So here, for example, where we build wind turbine and photovoltaic system and centralized CSP, essentially it is similar to photovoltaic, but it is centralized and it does massively absorb energy, which then emit the energy to a system which essentially will have an impact on the capacity of electricity being produced. So development of energy flow and material flow, they are all connected. The reason is because when we use EV, we do need electric charging station. So more and more electric charging station is being built in Indonesia. And then this will need as well renewable energies to feed in. So understanding of energy, understanding of electronics, understanding of materials, understanding of economy, understanding of regulation law on how this can be part of a global supply chain, for example, they are all interlinked together. So there is no such a single discipline which is the most important. It is all interdisciplinary in nature. So when we then understand that interdisciplinary synergy is key, what we do is then we try to map from resources until final product. So this is a shortcut version of the map. So for example, nickel, in material product, we do have the ability or there is a requirement so that nickel can be nickel cathode. And then from there, so example, nickel, cobalt, aluminum, nickel, manganese, cobalt, enriched nickel, cobalt material, and so on and so forth. And then the final product of this will be battery. But then the same nickel can be also then converted to nickel superalloys, which is one of the most expensive industrial alloys used a lot in aerospace, but at the same time being used in PV, energy storage, and so on. So by mapping this, we then see that it is very important. Sustainability is built based interdisciplinary synergy because in the end, all this battery, energy storage, motor and control system, they all link to natural resources, which essentially in Indonesia, we are fortunate enough that we do have some of them abundant within the country. Now, what we then need to build in terms of strategy. So despite we, of course, in the first few adoption strategy, we may end up in buying some of those technologies, but we need to be very cautious then when we buy those technologies. We need to understand how the technology works. We need to understand on how materials are involved and then how the manufacturing technologies needed to produce those products. So what we do is we try to map material manufacturing technologies. We try to map product technologies, which essentially will be here integrated, assembled, but also we try to understand gaps. So understanding gaps is something which we are doing very actively. So in this case, for nickel, we do have a characteristic that our nickel is class 2, and then we need to then convert that to class 1, and we need some technologies, and then in building some technologies, we do need investment, and then how then in the end, we do not just focus on acquiring those technologies, but also build our capacity to be able to produce those technologies in the end. Now, one key suggestion is for universities to understand how industries work. So this is an example, number of companies, when we are talking just on one technology, battery. So in battery, there are a number of technologies, there are a number of course, industries involved. For example, extractive economy part, which is essentially mining. So aluminum, mining companies, nickel, manganese, lithium, graphite, cobalt. This is just to name a few. And then we also see active material for the battery, for example, for collector, for electrolyte, and these are all the industries involved. And then we also see cathode, anode, separator, and others, which, as you can see, also lining up a number of industries involved. And then cells, battery, and these are all the companies. And then battery pack itself, these are all companies and some big names like BYD, LG Chemical, Tesla, so on and so forth. And then for the application itself, when the battery is assembled, and then that need to be then integrated to cars. And then, for example, here, of course, Volvo, Renault, BMW, Ford, so on and so forth. And in the end, recyclability is also very important. So there are companies focusing on recyclability. So my point here is when we are talking on this interdisciplinary, we are talking as well on another axis, different stakeholders essentially. So it's not only university side, but also on the supply chain itself. So supply chain is the same as the way products is being developed. So there is an upstream part and also downstream part. And then at every point, as you can see, competitiveness is high. So on how we then be part of a global supply chain is by understanding on how it works and then find good gap. And then we develop our own strategy. For example, our products will be consumed or will be adopted initially by the government, for example, or by our own needs. And then bit by bit, we then transfer that into export products. So hopefully that gives a good understanding and some images on how interdisciplinary is important, especially in the downstream part of our research and development. Now, here is just another example. So first, we're talking about battery as an example in developing EV ecosystem. So it's not only the battery, of course, but also lightweight structure. And we are talking about lightweight structures is manufacturing process of aluminum sheet, which is essentially important for cars to be lightweight, is a very important technology. And in Indonesia, we do still have challenges in producing thin sheet of aluminum because usually sheet less than 3 millimeter will need to be sent to Japan. And then when it is thin, then we buy again from Japan to Indonesia. So there is going outside the country and then going to the country. So that is something which we try to reduce. So to do so, then we do the gap analysis again, trying to understand what is required, including investment. So this is what we try to map what we need to research on, what we need to invest on. Now, this is the same as I showed you earlier or similar, but this is for lightweight structure supply chain. And then this is again for EV motor, inverter, electric charging stations. The reason why I'm showing this is just to show in a single car, there are thousands and thousands of products, thousands and thousands of components that we are essentially could be part within the supply chain. And then even a single product within that massive ecosystem of products, they are all multidisciplinary. So interdisciplinary synergy is very key to be successful. Now, this is another example of renewable energy supply chain. But in the end, so fostering interdisciplinary synergy for us is all about building an ecosystem. So we see opportunity and challenges in Indonesia at the same time, especially in terms of our human resource competitiveness. We also see that our HDI is increasing bit by bit, and then we are having that opportunity by 2045, 65% of our populations may be in the productive age group. But then we do have challenges, and especially we do have challenges in terms of R&D being low in terms of investment. But I think on the other side, we do have a key strategy on how to bring quality of our R&D, hence the quality on how R&D can support our economy improves. So we're building 4 pillars. The first one is human resource upskilling pillars, and second is world-class R&D pillars. The third is downstreaming and partnership, as I mentioned before. And then last one is adaptive technology development policies. So adaptive becomes a very key part of our policy development. And then central to Indonesia's economy is our technology adoption strategy and how we support infrastructures. This is the foundation. But then, as you can see, all these are interdisciplinary again in nature on how Indonesia's economy linked to food security, energy transition, education, smart city, and biodiversity. So when we are doing research, especially trying to understand a technology that can be used in multiple areas like this may have a good chance to be more scalable, for example. Or if you're building business uh, from technologies developed in universities, so long that we build a good value of it, I think there is a way that we can then push towards and then see whether that will then support our economy. So hopefully, by explaining on how our policy development in the future, especially in terms of interdisciplinary synergy, and also on how Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology is developing our strategy, will provide some key informations which then we can align and build further together. And last part is we are in a process to do a number of new research scheme, which we are about to launch within a few days. And we also plan to release our BIMA research for 2026, our call for proposal next month in October. So hopefully everyone being within the ecosystem of our Indonesia's university systems could be part of our technology development and also human resource development, which is very key to foster the interdisciplinary synergy for a sustainable future. Thank you very much for your time, and then my apologies again for not being on time due to an event prior to this. Thank you for listening.
Wow, let's give a warm round of applause for Dr. Fauzan Aziman. A very special thank you for you, Dr. Fauzan Aziman. Selamat menjalankan aktivitas kembali dan kami tunggu di Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang.
Terima kasih.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a very special occasion we have today, and we are coming to the session that we have been waiting for, a plenary session with Professor Hui Wenchuang from Taiwan, from the cluster of ICoNVIT, and also Kaylin Manalang Jr. from Philippines, from the cluster of ICMED. And this session will be led by a very dedicated lecturer from the Industrial Engineering Department. He is also obtained his PhD in Portugal, and he was the best presenter in the last ICoNTIN, one of our clusters. And he is also a secretary of Institute for Publication and Scientific Development of University of Muhammadiyah Malang. And let's welcome Dr. Tommy Eko Saputro along with Professor Hui Wenchuang and Kaylin Manalang Jr.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hannah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is such an honor for me to welcome you to the plenary session of our international conference. It is in today's rapidly changing world, the issue of sustainability has become most important challenges in our society. It is no longer a matter of choice, but a responsibility that we share across nations, disciplines, and industry. Our conference serves an important platform to exchange knowledge, idea, and innovations that will help us move closer to build a more sustainable future. This session will focus on two sustainable development dimensions. The first one, we will talk about sustainable agriculture, which lies at the very foundation of food security and environmental balance. And the second topic, we will discuss about occupational health and safety, a critical pillar to ensure that the workforce contributing to economic growth and development can do so in safe and dignified conditions. And today, we are honored to have with us two distinguished speakers who will share their insight and expertise on these topics. Our first speaker is Professor Hui Huan Chuang from Taiwan. Good afternoon. Nice to meet you, Professor Huang. Hui. And the second speaker, we have Professor Gelan Manalang from Philippines. Nice to meet you. Welcome to UMM. Okay. Before we begin, let me outline the flow of the plenary sessions. Each speaker will deliver their presentation for maximum 30 minutes, and the Q&A sessions will just begin after both speakers end up the presentations. Okay, now let's move on to the first presentation, which is going to be delivered by Professor Hui Wan Chuang from Taiwan. She is a professor in the Department of Agriculture Biotechnology, National Chiayi University, Taiwan. She has been actively publishing articles in reputable international journals, including International Journal of Molecular Science, Journal of Applied Microbiology, and many more. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Professor Hui Huan Chuang. The floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. And then the talk before today is going to talking about the role of biostimulants application in agricultural practice. We try to reach the goal of sustainable agriculture. Next, please. So today's agricultural system facing lots of challenges, and including like a soil problem, and some like soil is got lots of high soil condition, or you can see some nutrient depletion and reduction in soil fertility. Some water problem is like a drought problem or lots of flooding problem, and then more serious is water pollution problem, and also the crop facing the climate change, like extreme drought condition or rainfall, or increase the temperature or the cold straits. And then they have some like salinity problem, and also the loss of the biodiversity. Next, please. Next. Okay, so today's topic is about using the application of biostimulant in agricultural practice. And biostimulant is a group of substance or microorganism that will affect a plant natural process to promote plant growth by different kind of mechanism. And the most of action for those biostimulants can be like enhance nutrient uptake and to promote plant growth and development, or by improve biostress tolerance to like drought stress, salinity, or heat stress or cold stress. And then eventually this biostimulant can increase plant yield and crop yield and crop quality. And there's a different kind of biostimulant. They can be microbial, and in this kind of biostimulant we call plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, which is short for PGPR, and in some case is fungi, and these fungi including like mycorrhiza fungi or trichoderma. And there's a different category of biostimulant is non-microbial, such as humic acid, seaweed extracts, and protein hydrolysis, or like chitosan or silicone-based product. And today we're gonna focus on PGPR. Next, please. Okay, and how the biostimulant can promote plant growth. The main function for the biostimulant, they have to be able to activate plant gene expression. And those plant gene expression is mainly focused on gene involving antioxidant activity. Or they will promote the gene expression involving in nutrient uptake, or they will increase the gene expression involved in stress tolerance. And in the cellular level, those plants that treated with biostimulant will get higher photosynthesis rate and increase the chlorophyll content, and they will activate their primary and secondary metabolism and increase antioxidant activity. And eventually, we'll see the plant phenotype is improve root and shoot growth and high yield parameters, and improve like a flowering and get a better quality. Next slide. And then today we're gonna focus mainly on plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. And this kind of microorganism can be used as a biofertilizer. And there are several mechanisms from this microorganism. This bacteria express, so therefore they can use as a functional biofertilizer. One is this microorganism may increase the nutrient uptake, or they can increase the nutrient availability, such as like some microorganisms, they can do a nitrogen fixation and or increase phosphate solubilization in the soil, and in another one, they may increase the potassium solubilization activity. And some microorganisms, PGPR, they can produce a cytophobe to bind iron in the soil, therefore they can increase iron availability in the soil for plant. And then some PGPR can produce phytohormones such as like auxin, gibberellins, cytokinin. And mostly, most important thing is the increase auxin content. They produce auxin. And some microorganisms can express the gene product, ACC deaminase. They reduce insulin production when plant under the biostress environment. Okay, and some microorganisms has ability to secrete some metabolism, metabolite to bind to the toxic or to precipitate the toxic compound in the soil. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the slide show you some of the PGPR can be used as a biopesticide. Okay, and obviously this one will be more expensive. You can make more money if you produce it as a biofertilizer. Okay, and some of the PGPR they can produce antibiotic compound. Okay, and so they can suppress pathogen growth. And some bacteria, they can produce some metabolite that are able to activate plant systemic defense response, including SAR and or ISR, and mainly is ISR. Okay, and by activate plant hormone signals such as salicylic acid dependent hormone signaling or JA acid dependent hormone signaling. And again, cytophobe, they have a different kind of function, and before we mentioned cytophobe can increase the iron availability in the soil. And in this case, if some bacteria produce metabolite, have very strong activity to bind to the iron, therefore they have ability to inhibit pathogen living around the root areas. That will become another mechanism for biopesticides application. Okay, and some bacteria that can produce volatile organic compounds, and those volatile organic compounds that might have ability to inhibit pathogen growth, or they can elicit plant to increase response to a biostress. Next slide, please. And today we're going to give you an example of PGPR, the isolate from our lab. And this PGPR is isolated from the compost material. And after sequencing, we know this is a Micrococcus lutens, and we name it strains S14 in the lab. And so we're going to call it S14 later. And this lab, in this bacteria, will do the whole genome sequencing to analyze the gene sequence and to understand what kind of, try to predict what kind of metabolite, useful metabolite from this bacteria that would be used to promote plant growth. And that we found out this bacteria produce three major group of gene. They have a three major group of gene located in their whole genome. One is involving IAA synthesis, and the other one is involving terpenoid synthesis, and the last one is involving carotenoid biosynthesis. And so we tested in the lab. We found out this bacteria really can produce a very high amount of IAA, which is after 3 days of culture, they can produce over 100 ppm IAA. And the bottom part, you can see this bacteria, the colony become yellowish. It is an indicator of forming carotenoid. And when they do the liquid culture, the culture become orange color. And in the right-hand side, this is the pathogen for banana fusarium wheat. And you can see this bacteria can produce some volatile compound that will inhibit the mycelium growth of FOC pathogen. Next slide, please. So we tested in the plant, since this bacteria can produce so much of IAA, and the left-hand side slide, they can blue roots. That is the transgenic plant containing a promoter construct, and this promoter is auxin, IAA inducible promoter, and the GOS gene is a reporter gene. So if the material we provide to this transgenic plant has really have a high IAA concentration, they will activate auxin responsive element in the promoter region. And as you can see, we see the positive result in, you can see when this transgenic plant inoculate with S14, and the roots turn blue. That means they have very strong IAA response. And then in the right-hand side, you can see when the seedling, this is apoptosis plant, inoculate with S14, you can see the root structure become more little roots, and the root become stronger. Okay, and you can see, and not only the little roots, the root hair also increase more number, and then this is become very strong root architecture. And next slide, please. And in the plant growth, this also are those plant because they are model plants, so we always test it first. And then you can see they will improve the apoptosis growth, and then increase the chlorophyll content and also total sugar content. That's indicator of increased photosynthesis efficiency. And the bottom part, you can see this seedling treated with S14 got more starch staining. And the figure on the right-hand side, on the bottom part of the right-hand side, that is the result from the Western blot. So we detect what kind of protein is accumulated in this S14 treated plant. And you can see the FTZS and the POR gene is involved in the chloroplast function. And including CF, BBS, and ALD, all of them is including in is involving chloroplast function. It's all increased accumulation by S14 treatment. Next slide, please. Okay, and this S14 also activate plant gene involving in the defense response. Sorry, it's defense response for the antioxidant like APX, ascorbic peroxidase, and POD is guaiacol peroxidase. And then the increase the secondary metabolite accumulation, including glucosinolate and then total phenolic compound. And bottom part, again, is a Western blot, and treated with this one is increased APX and GPX, both of them is involved is antioxidant active enzyme. And also DHAR is a gene, is a protein involved in ascorbic and glutathione cycle. It's a very important antioxidant system in the cell. Next slide, please. And then we pre-treat aldosterone with S14 and exposed to the drought trace. As you can see here, 7 days, 5 days after drought treatment, you can see we detect the hydrogen peroxide is one of the long-lasting oxidative trace in the cell. And the S14 treated plant has low amount of hydrogen peroxide and also has low amount of MDA. MDA is a product of a membrane lipid post-section. That means a plant treated S14 has healthier membrane structure. And then after 7 days of drought stress, you got less amount of wheaty plant in S14 treated plant. And then after we recover with the water, you can see that the upper part is control plant and the bottom part is the S14 treated plant. You can see the plant get much larger and they have a higher fresh weight. Next slide, please. And then we also expose the pre-treated plant to heat stress for like 45 degrees Celsius. And then you can see the plant also have a less amount of hydrogen peroxide, MDA. And then when we recover in the 23 degree overnight, and S14 treatment got less higher amount unweighted seedling. And also after we recover for 1 week, the plant get a higher fresh weight. Next slide, please. And we also exposed to source trace. As you can see on the bottom part is S14 treated plant. They got greener seedling. They have a content, more chlorophyll content, and also got higher amount of starch staining in the S14 treated plant. And again, they got less amount of hydrogen peroxide, MDA, and they got higher fresh weight. Next slide, please. So we checked gene expression for the S14 treated seedling. So we found out the gene involved in on the upper part and the left-hand side, the first group of genes involving in the photosynthesis process. And the middle one is involving antioxidant activity. And the right-hand side is involving in different kind of hormone signaling transduction. And they can involve in auxin, APA, and JA, and also involving in salicylic acid. Okay, and so we double check with those gene expression and found out S14 really can activate gene involving in the growth and the stress signal transduction pathway, and the bottom part is the gene involving the transcription factor involving like AJA signaling and the stress response. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a model plant, and we try to use it in agricultural system. So work with the phenolopsis orchid. A reason picked up for this orchid is because it's very important photo crop in Taiwan, and Taiwan is one of the major countries produce phenolopsis orchid. And Taiwan produced grow phenolopsis orchid, and we transport them to US. They had to put this orchid plant in the ship for like 4 to 6 weeks under the dark and the drought condition and the low temperature. And also the other good reason you want to apply this biostimulant to this orchid plant is because this orchid plant is a CAM photosynthesis plant. Grow very slowly. So that is the main reason, two main reasons we want to work on this orchid plant. Next slide, please. So when we treated this orchid plant with S14, again, we can see it really promotes the plant growth and also increase antioxidant activity like POD activity and APX activity, and they increase the total phenolic compound in this orchid plant. Next slide, please. And then when we expose this the orchid plant pre-treated with S14 with in this orchid we expose it to the drought stress for 2 weeks. Okay, and then later we found out this orchid treated with S14 got less amount of hydrogen peroxide NDA, and it got more RW. C is relative water content. That means they have a higher photosynthesis activity. Next slide, please. And then we also expose this S14 pre-treated orchid to 10 degrees Celsius temperature for 10 days. And as you can see here, the S14 treated orchid got healthier look than the control plant. And in this orchid tissue, they pre-treated with S14, they got less amount of hydrogen peroxide, NDA, and higher value of relative water content. Next slide, please. And then again, we check the Western blot to see whether this S14 affecting gene expression in this orchid plant, and similarly, they affected the gene expression involving JA synthesis and antioxidant activity, and also some PR gene is related to disease resistance, and also for photosynthesis efficiency. Next slide, please. Another crop we work with is we try on corn plant, and then as you can see, S14 treated plant got growth promotion on the area part, and then the root structure got stronger. And you can see we check the fresh weight, shoot fresh weight, also root fresh weight. S14 treated plant have a higher value, and we grow those corn plant in the greenhouse and during the summertime. And during summertime, the temperature in the greenhouse in Taiwan is around like 38 to 45. Actually, is really a typical condition for the heat stress. And we do the pollen staining to check the pollen viability. You can see the S14 treated plant have a higher viable pollen. And you can see in the control plant, the kernel number, the control plant have this number of the kernel, and S14 treated plant, they have a more kernel number. Okay, this is the result we got from the corn treatment. Next slide, please. And we also check the gene expression because this is the Western blot result. Similarly, in the corn plant treated with S14, they got higher gene expression involving in the photosynthesis, and involving secondary metabolite synthesis, and also antioxidant activity. Next slide, please. And we extend our technique to do the stem cutting. And stem cutting is very important agricultural practice because they will keep the vegetative propagation and then keep the gene homogeneously in the population. And so some very different kind of factors that affecting the rooting efficiency in the stem cutting. And some is related to genotype, and some is related to the hormone condition, and some is germinalized tissue of the cutting, and then some is related to the carbohydrate status of the cutting, and some is related to the leaf factor. Next slide, please. And then so when we apply S14 to rose stem cutting, as you can see on the left-hand side, the control plant, they got less rooting condition. And S14 treated plant, they got more efficient in the rooting. And so S14 treated plant have a higher percentage of survival rate. And then they got more rooting ratio. And again, we check the S14 treated rose tissue for the gene involving photosynthesis and antioxidant, it all come out positively increase. Next slide, please. And the last one, we apply this S14 to see the cutting for papaya. And in this experiment, in addition to the control, we have another control is IBA, plant treated with IBA. IBA is the synthetic auxin. And then in Taiwan, you can buy it as a rooting powder for cutting. And then so the bottom part is S14 treated stem cutting. As you can see here, the routine efficiency from the cutting, for the cutting that treated with S14 is much higher than the control and the cutting treated with IBA. And we check with the chlorophyll content in the leaf of the papaya and found out the S14 treated the deep tissue have the increased chlorophyll content, and also they reduce the hydrogen peroxide concentration. Next slide, please. So my conclusion is the microorganism which is able to produce like a higher amount of IAA and terpenoids and carotenoids can really promote plant growth. And then this metabolite, they can have the bioactivity affecting plant growth, including changing the root architecture, and then they will improve photosynthesis and activate plant antioxidant activity and increase the plant tolerance to biostress. And then this kind of microorganism also is very effective on promoting rooting on the stem cutting. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your insightful presentations. Let's give round of applause to Professor Hui. Actually, I forgot to mention that Professor Hui obtained her PhD in genetics in Texas A&M University, Chicago, and she is interested in the research areas of molecular mechanism and biostimulants. Actually, this kind of research interest is very engaging in order to secure our food resources, actually. So for those who have questions, or all the participants who are joining online or on-site, please keep your questions and we will have a Q&A session after the second speaker end up the presentations. So we will move on to our second speaker. Last but not least, we have here Professor Gayline Manalang. She is a professor from Department of Environmental and Occupational Health, College of Public Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. She is also a member of Physical Wellness Technical Working Group. She is also a physical therapist licensed in the Philippines and occupational health professionals. She obtained her international qualifications for occupational health and safety from the University of Illinois at Chicago, USA, and from the National Examinations Board in Occupational Safety and Health, UK. Her research interests involve the field of chronobiology and being recognized as the most outstanding professional in the field of physical therapy in 2017 by Professional Regulation Commission of the Philippines. It is kind of incredible experience and expertise, actually. Okay, let's welcome Professor Gayline. The time is yours.
Thank you, Professor, for the kind introduction. UMM Vice Rector Dr. Muhammad Salis Yunardi, the organizing committee of the 5th ICoSDev, led by Dr. Pardini Sabila, my fellow keynote speakers at Director General Adsiman, who was online with us earlier, and Professor Wei Wenchang, and of course, our faculty, students, and the esteemed guests of the university, especially from the schools that were represented in the recognition earlier. Good afternoon. It is wonderful for me to be here at UMM Indonesia, not just as a visitor, but to humbly share about an area which is very much close to my heart, in this through this keynote lecture. I would like to disclose that when I was preparing for this, I was actually thinking that I have a more or less homogeneous group of participants, thinking it was for the Medical and Health Sciences Conference. So finding out that there are 9 component conferences and a very diverse audience, it's a tall order for me to draw everyone in. Please bear with me for the lecture parts of my session. And I would like to reassure you that I'll do my best to draw everyone in, especially as I have realized that the thread that binds all of us here in sustainability and interest in interdisciplinary collaboration for it is a sustainable development goal that was not mentioned in the video earlier. Are you familiar with the Sustainable Development Goal 8, number 8? Can anyone give me what number 8 is? It is on decent work and economic growth. So coming from the experience of the pandemic, I'm pretty much sure that we identify well with the experience of getting sick and not being sure when we could go back to work. And when we talk about occupational rehabilitation in occupational health, we do not mean only to address the rehabilitation needs of those who become physically disabled, but disabled or infirm or handicapped in any way, not just physically, but also mentally, by different experiences in the work environment. Okay? So from the pandemic, it's the experience of being exposed to a biological agent, but in other situations, most of the time our workers will be contending with factors in the work environment that could cause them physical injuries of different forms. Next slide, please. So in occupational rehabilitation for a sustainable and healthy workforce, we look to the different occupational health and safety principles. I will not read through all of these in the slides. Just give the reference to you that it comes from a classic reference in occupational health on outlining these principles. Next slide. I'd like to draw your attention to the very last one. That if you're in occupational health and safety, you are a professional in that field, or you are a unit implementing the occupational health and safety program, there should be compensation, rehabilitation, and curative services available to the workers. More often than not, and I speak most familiar with the Philippine situation, but this would apply to many, many different countries as well. More often than not, the occupational health program will focus on providing curative services. It may be facilitative of compensation services, but provision of rehabilitation services for different disabilities are not always consistent. Next slide. These occupational health services have as among their core functions contribution to the vocational rehabilitation of workers. So by this, what we mean is that when someone who is working becomes injured at work or becomes disabled because of something they were exposed to at work, they are allowed to go back to work as soon as they can and as safe as possible, regardless of whether they have a residual disability or they come out of the experience still able-bodied and healthy. So facilitating vocational rehabilitation is in the interest of sustainability because what we are preserving there is our human capital. Maybe from the pandemic, you would have someone in mind who got sick and for quite a while did not get to go back to work. Or maybe you know of someone in your community who got an injury because of work and lost their livelihood for a time because they could not go back to the same kind of work. This is something that should be addressed in our sustainability efforts. We look at the different technologies for making our products and services better and better. We should also think about making the services for our workers better and better so they could live out their working life in a healthy and safe manner. Next slide, please. The occupational health professional is situated in different ways according to the prevailing law of a country. Okay, so one thing that needs more emphasis is the fact that different occupational health professionals have a role in managing and facilitating rehabilitation in the workplace. This is on top of them being able to provide or facilitate or situate curative services and assisting the human resources in facilitating compensation, especially post-injury. Okay. But most occupational health professionals hardly have any background about rehabilitation. So if we, in the words of our vice rector earlier, something that we should love, we should understand. And in this session, I'm putting forward the idea of a better understanding of what we mean by rehabilitation as a strategy for sustainability in the workforce, promoting it not only to the occupational health professionals in the room, but to all of us, because all of us belong to some form of workplace or community where we do work. Next slide, please. In the Philippines, we have had health and safety standards promulgated since the late 1980s. It's a similar situation in Indonesia, very much similar even in recent times in the fact that although we had standards in the late 1980s already, the National Occupational Health and Safety Law in the Philippines was only promulgated in 2018. And I'm informed that it was the same for Indonesia. Recently, we modified or revised rather the implementing rules and regulations of the Philippine OSH law. And part of the challenge there is that different types of industries are now recognized as needing to implement a form of occupational health service. If you have an industry that is better resourced, such as a large-scale industry or a formal industry, then there is perhaps a better situation for the occupational health program to be created. But if you have smaller scale industries or informal industries, then you have more of a challenge living out the law, making sure that there is health and safety initiatives for workers in these industries. Okay? So this is also the experience of many countries in the world, the challenge of ensuring that all types of industries will be able to provide health and safety programs, including occupational rehabilitation for all workers. Okay, next slide. We have in our Philippine structure what we call as Health and Safety Committee, and the lead officer organic to the industry is called the safety officer. In the industrial clinic, there is a minimum composition. And in the Philippines, according to the law, that has to have, the occupational health service has to have an occupational health physician, an occupational health nurse, a occupational dentist, and a certain number of first aiders depending on the number of workers in the workforce. Okay? So more or less, there are similar, again, structures all over the world for implementing health and safety programs within an establishment. Next slide. Okay. So with that minimum structure, there is also what the law says as to be the minimum scope of an occupational health program. For the public sector in the Philippines, there are 4 minimum content of the occupational health program for civil servants. And this encompasses occupational accident and illness surveillance programs, as well as medical services assistance and rehabilitation program. Similarly, for the formal industry, next slide please, private industries there are dictated the minimum scope of the program. In this slide, I show you the example of the minimum for medium to high risk establishments of 10 to 50 workers and low to high risk establishments of 51 workers and above. What I've highlighted are components of the program that are relevant to occupational rehabilitation. We need information to create the occupational rehabilitation program that is responsive to the hazards and outcomes that we may expect from exposure to that hazard in the workplace. And we need means to introduce the necessary interventions to prevent such outcomes from happening. And for those who unfortunately meet with an accident in the workplace, there should be also effective means to introduce the rehabilitation to them. Next slide. So we have different references that will tell us what occupational injuries are and what they lead to. Well, basically, we say that occupational injuries are those that come about in the context of a workplace. And in an accident that leads to that, we not only contend with physical injury, but different forms of losses to the industry. Okay. But focusing on injuries and outcome, we always think about occupational injuries as being highly disfiguring. You see a gross change in the body of the worker. But there are types of injuries that do not show any overt indications of such. Okay? So they may look whole in body, but there is already the induction of some form of musculoskeletal injury. Next slide, please. Okay? So in a work accident, it's apparent we think about personal injury, but the occupational health professional will also contend with and assist the safety officers on managing the work stoppage, the property damage, etc. What perhaps is unique to the occupational health personnel is the fact that they have to assist in the management of the work injury. Now, with the minimum composition of the occupational health personnel, oftentimes rehabilitation is beyond their professional scope. So the challenge to the occupational health professional is, how do we make it available to our workers? And can we make it available at all? Okay. Next slide. There are two types of injuries to the musculoskeletal system, actually. So there are those that are accident-related, and then there are those that are atraumatically caused, what we consider to be work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Sometimes we call them as cumulative trauma. Sometimes we encounter them in literature as repetitive strain injuries. Okay. So they are a little different in their induction compared to those that are caused by accidents. Well, largely different, actually. And unfortunately, when we look at existing strategies for monitoring and documenting injuries, is often focused on those that are caused by accidents. So those of the other types of injuries are not as established. We don't have as much data for them. But knowing that usually among the top 5 nationally occupational injuries, the top 5 occupational injuries nationally would be some form of atraumatically related or atraumatically caused ergonomics-related, work-related musculoskeletal disorder. It stands to reason that we have to monitor the risk factors for these injuries as well. Next slide. Okay, so we have medical treatment injuries and disabling injuries defined in the Philippine law. And this is also similar jargon to many legal definitions all over the world. So you have medical treatment injuries, those that result in any disabling injury, but require some form of treatment. And then you have the disabling injuries, which could result in death at the extreme and different levels of disability. Could be permanent, partial, or temporary disabilities, etc. So the definition of those disabling injuries is something that is necessary in the law, which will enable industry to rationalize the programs that they need for these disabled workers. At the other end, for the disabled worker, the law recognizing different forms of injury will enable them to avail of compensation mechanisms and rehabilitation mechanisms if they need them. Next slide. Okay. So what we have right now for most occupational health personnel is the familiarity of what needs to be done for a worker after they are injured. They go through a process wherein they undergo acute care so that when they are medically stable, they also later on undergo different forms of management for their physical disability. So we have their concepts pertaining to functional capacity assessment and job analysis, where we try to understand the work situation that led to the injury. And aside from that, okay, once we understand what led to that outcome, we try to mitigate at the workplace by making modifications necessary to make the workspace safer, and different levels of or regiments that help us to gradually bring the worker back to fighting form and into working form at that. So this, shall we say, process is what we healthcare professionals are often oriented to. We take care of injured individuals. But one thing in occupational health, we're always concerned about the root cause of any outcome that we observe in the workers. Next slide. We have to have an understanding of the preventive measures that are necessary for such preventive measures against such outcomes. Okay? And what I'd like to introduce is the idea that excuse me, occupational health professionals have a role even before a worker is brought to the company. We have a role in assisting human resources and management in creating the appropriate job description, not only outlining the technical competence or academic qualifications, but the physical requirements for a job as well. Your work may be sedentary or highly manual, highly manual and labor intensive, but regardless, all types of work, you have to approach it like you are an athlete. There's a certain level of physical fitness that you must have in order for you to successfully work. And having that defined for a job should be part and parcel of a job description. Our premise in safe work is that if we know what qualities and characteristics are necessary for a worker to do their job, then we can assist them in job placement by readying them before they are actually put to the work floor. Think of an athlete. Before they go to competition, they undergo a certain training regimen. In preventing injuries and musculoskeletal disorders, we take that same view. Workers must be facilitated into the job through physical training as well. And a fit worker is a worker at less risk for injuries to occur. Next slide, please. So often when I conduct training about occupational rehabilitation, I ask this question. Occupational health professionals contribute to the creation of job descriptions. Surprisingly, next slide, we know from this discussion that the answer here is true. But often, those who are not yet in the field of health and safety or just starting out are under the notion that this is false, that they don't have a role in creating job descriptions. If we take the preventive strategies to heart, we understand that we do have a role in creating job descriptions. Next slide. Another question I ask is, what would be the array of services that are part of an occupational health unit? And often, most in my class will answer that it is A and B only. Okay? But in fact, all three types of services, next slide, that the answer is all of the above, should be present. We should not overlook any of these different components in a health and safety program. Next slide. Okay. I'd like to draw in to this lecture those who work in information technology and statistics and business. Something that will help countries and even individual industries strategically create and allot resources for preventive programs is having the right data. So there are basic work information that we should gather when an accident happens or an injury is reported. And it's a challenge for occupational health professionals and regulators to recommend priorities if we don't have such data. If we assist individual industries to create their own surveillance strategy, next slide, they can be inspired by an ICD-10-like document called the ICLS 1998 reference on schemes of occupational injury classification. So those who are in IT and business and in occupational health have to work together to come up with such a surveillance strategy. And it might be far removed from the idea of sustainability. But if we are in a preventive frame of mind and we accept that it is a principle for workforce sustainability, data is important. And data that is systematically collected and also consistent with national jargon or international rather jargon and approaches for collecting them is highly informative data. Next slide, please. So this is what is considered to be the minimum country data on occupational injury that countries have to maintain. So often there is a system wherein there is voluntary reporting of industries to the regulatory bodies when there are accidents. And altogether, when these different reports have the same jargon, regulators can easily consolidate the data and also justify national programs for accident prevention. That translates, hopefully later on, not just to programs for industries that are formally organized, but also to informal industries. Next slide. Okay. So I'll emphasize again that the stereotype of a work injury is always an injury that affects the different musculoskeletal components and is grossly disfiguring. But they are not always like that. Musculoskeletal injuries can be result of atraumatic situations. They may be developing without any obvious signs and symptoms. So it's not just those that are caused during accidents that we're concerned about. We're concerned about the daily way of doing work that cumulatively causes us higher risk for musculoskeletal disorders. Next slide, please. They are chronic by nature. And one thing that occupational health professionals are highly trained, especially if they are those involved in rehabilitation, is their evaluation of the work environment and work performance. They're not only concerned about establishing the diagnosis of the condition with the current situation of the worker, they look at past information. So they take occupational medical histories. Next slide, please. They may call these conditions that they see in the clinic different ways, but the information that they gather, which would be important in the analysis of the work situation for preventive measures, they would document commonly ergonomic risk factors. Okay? They would also document person-related factors that have something to do with anthropometry, body structure, etc. The challenging thing to collect, to inform your analysis would really be have something to do with environment-related factors, something to do with the work environment. Okay? So in the Philippines, we have this situation where occupational health clinics are often third-party providers. So when we have that situation, it's all the more tough to conduct an analysis for prevention if you are not really organically with a company. Okay? The way to go about this is to have an active line of communication with the organic personnel of a company that act for as safety officers or ergonomics officers. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the information that we take during an occupational medical history. So aside from the personal information relevant to the case, common symptoms of diseases in the workplace, how the diseases are managed on-site and even off-site, depending on the resources of the occupational health unit, there's also the factory visits. Okay? And next slide, when we take all these details together, it looks like this listing. Okay, so we are not just going to look at the current situation of the worker, but we take into account many, many different factors that could come into play for their injury. Okay. Next slide. This illustration I always put in my presentations to illustrate something that those who would like to create create or co-create or recreate their businesses to understand how prevention could be incorporated, especially prevention of injuries. In this review of what causes musculoskeletal disorders, it's emphasized that usually at the clinic, what we see is already an individual with some form of loss of function, pain, and even some psychological distress. That's already a chronic situation, very likely, if it's a work-related musculoskeletal disorder of a traumatic cause. To prevent that, we have to address the root causes, which are largely ergonomic concerns, repetitive strain, forceful exertion, etc. And to get to that, we acknowledge that we need to work with the safety officers or ergonomics specialists and management. We have to look for those risk factors and address them, maybe in a job safety analysis and job modification. Next slide. So when we prevent atraumatically caused work-related musculoskeletal disorders through ergonomics, next slide, we understand that in occupational health, we focus more on supportive work behaviors and modifications in the workplace towards a more ergonomic workstation or work area. Providing curative services is not written off, it's just considered to be one component. There will always be in a certain set of workers who have some form of injury, and they need that curative service. But for the large majority in a workforce, they don't have any injuries. And for them, we aim to prevent any injuries from being induced or suffered. Next slide. Okay. So these are the most involved ergonomic risk factors for these atraumatically caused musculoskeletal disorders. Next slide. And in prevention, we promote ideas such as active breaks compared to real breaks, assuming neutral postures or positions, and actively monitoring what we call the signal risk factors for each ergonomic factor. Okay? So when all of these figure into a preventive scheme, okay, so we advocate for supportive behaviors such as taking breaks and monitoring by the supervisors and even the workers themselves. If they see any of these signal risk factors, they know that they need to intervene to prevent atraumatic musculoskeletal disorders. Management should be open to the idea that these are needed for a safe, sustainable workforce. Next slide. So when we care for an occupationally disabled worker, be they disabled because of an accident or because of ergonomics concerns, you need an array of professionals. And from what we see in this list, okay, typically what is present in a company would be the occupational medicine physician, okay, or occupational health physician, rather. The others get into the game and help our workers with the effort of the occupational health physician. It may be that there are other members of the team that are required by law, such as case managers, but more often than not, it's also still on the occupational health physician's hands. Next slide. Okay, so I often ask this question again in our classes. In settings where there is no direct access to rehabilitation, who among the following would typically act as the healthcare case manager during the post-injury management of a worker? Sometimes the answer for most would be the physical therapist. Sometimes they would say it's the human resources officer. But the truth is, next slide, it's the occupational health physician. So the occupational health physician has to be empowered to allow other rehabilitation professionals into the process of caring for workers. If the occupational health physician is not that aware that they are needed, then we might be just stopping at acute care for workers and not really proceeding to the right care that is needed. Next slide. Okay, so in the next slide, I should just show you through markings. Next slide, where the safety officer and occupational health personnel will figure into this process of caring for workers before they are assigned to work. And next slide, similarly, showing you here where the safety officer and the occupational health personnel will be very useful to introduce rehabilitation for workers after injury. Next slide. So there are many areas where the occupational health personnel can contribute and also work with rehabilitation professionals that are available. Next slide. Now, just like to end this presentation with what I see to be the challenges in using occupational rehabilitation as a strategy for sustainable workforces. First, there has to be the right level of awareness among occupational health professionals about this field. Second, next slide, that there should be advocacy for rehabilitation services, not only through the clinics or hospitals, but through the public health system as well. Next slide. There should be occupational health rehabilitation services accessible to all workers, not only in the workplace, but also in the communities. Next slide. And there should be some consolidation of services of all rehabilitation professionals. Someone has to take the hat of a case manager. Is it the HR or the occupational health physician in our situation? We're not sure, but we have to make sure that there is someone who will incorporate that in the workflow of an occupational health clinic. Next slide. And lastly, financing occupational rehabilitation. There's a session tomorrow in the ICH Med conference that will tackle the social insurance for workers. Okay? And often, that is present in every country. The challenge always is to make it available to the workers. Okay? So, to capacitate businesses, easy access to such mechanisms for providing rehabilitation and compensation for rehabilitation. And I think my last slide. So, next slide. So, summary, I believe these are the challenges that we should think about or keep in mind as we think about workforces being sustainable. When we allow our workers to get injured and not get the right care, they look to be disposable. And anything disposable is not a sustainable way of doing things. Workers have to be seen as people, and they can be renewed even after injury. They can be facilitated back to the workforce, and that is the way to go for sustainability. Okay? So please keep in mind these challenges in your sessions as you discuss in the different conferences, and I hope that not necessarily right now in today's conference, but in the future, there will be more discussion about sustainable workforce and incorporating the right rehabilitation process into workplaces. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Gelai Manalang. It was such engaging and informative presentations. Let's give a round of applause to Professor Gelai Manalang. Do you know, after listening to their presentations, the thing that comes to my mind that I've learned is one speaker kept us safe at work and the other kept us faith in the future. It was a perfect duo for sustainability, actually. Thank you very much for your insightful presentations. And now, I would like to, at this point, I would like to open the floor for the Q&A sessions. So for the all participants who are joining online and on-site, you may have a question and you may raise questions by mentioning your name and also your affiliations. And for those who join online, you may write down your questions on the chat box. Okay, maybe the first session, I will open 2 questions first. Okay, 2 questions. Yes, please mention your name and your affiliation.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Nikmatur Rosida. I'm a lecturer from the Faculty of Health Science and from the Department of Physiotherapy. I would like to ask for the second speaker, Professor. The first questions is actually about are there any government programs or policies in the Philippines that promotes occupational therapy for workers? That's the first questions.
There is no specific policy promoting occupational rehabilitation, but the language of the national law on health and safety underscores return to work. So it is a strategy that is indirectly being promoted. I'll also answer your question by saying that the National Employees Compensation Commission is set up so that workers who are, well, automatically all working Filipinos are members of the commission. And if they get injured at work, provided they are able to demonstrate the circumstances of employment, they're automatically enrolled in a system where they are referred to occupational rehabilitation. But the, shall we say, subscription to that service is often where it fails. Companies don't necessarily directly refer them to the commission. So there's a lost opportunity there for availing rehabilitation. And with your question, I'll say also that we do need that law to make it clear.
That's actually related to the second questions. As I know, in Thailand, physical therapy have a direct with the company to like manage the workers before they entering the companies. In the Philippines, how deep the companies like the occupational therapy allow you to handle the safety and all?
The law requires that there are what we call safety officers in companies. And when it comes to companies that have ergonomics concerns, depending on how, shall we say, open and resource the company is, that's when they rationalize that they bring in a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. Okay, so it's largely dependent on how advanced the understanding of the current occupational health personnel are and how they can, shall we say, promote it to the management. So there are companies that have on board physios and occupational therapists on a retainer basis. If not, them being part-time members of the occupational health clinic, but they are not that many.
Okay.
Did
Thank you
I-
very much.
did I answer your question?
You answered my questions. Actually, I'm not really sure in Indonesia, but I know in Thailand because I do research in Thailand. So that's why I want to compare between Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines. Thank you very much, Professor, for your answers.
I think I'll add one important thing. The situation that is similar with Indonesia and Philippines is that by law, before we can see patients, we have to have a referral from a physician. I'm quite not sure with Thailand, but this is something in the law that also prevents rehabilitation from being directly accessed. There has to be first the referral from a physician, which often there are fewer physicians compared to PTs. So we have the resource, the health human resource, but access to them is not direct. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question and your answer, Professor Line Manalang. And I will give another chance for those who have questions. You may mention your name and your affiliation, please. Maybe from agriculture, maybe? IConBit? IConBit member? None of you? Okay. We have one more questions. Great.
Hello, Professor. How are you? Good noon. Sorry, good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good
I would
afternoon.
like to ask you about health and safety, occupational safety and health. What is the actual difference between health and safety structures, cause, and unstructures, like direct incident or indirect incident, which occurs sometimes in the industry? So please.
Sorry, can if I rephrase your question, please tell me if I captured it right.
Oh.
You're asking difference of the occupational health and occupational safety, correct?
Yeah, structure cause and unstructured, like direct event occurs in the industries, hazards and risk. So
Mhm.
what is the main difference between these 2 points, structures and non-structures? Like they face some compensations, like other thing, they recorded to the systems, and after the laborers or other persons, they are obligated to the policy and rule according to the international labor organizations.
Okay. So you're asking about the structure that this is implemented?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a Department of Labor and Employment. Under it, there are what we call bureaus and attached agencies. The Bureau of Working Conditions is the one that comes up with the policies that are standards for health and safety. And then we have the Occupational Safety and Health Center. They are the ones in charge of research and also training for health and safety. Okay, so it's under basically the Ministry of Labor and different bureaus and agencies, different jurisdiction, or sorry, mandate. And related to that is the Employees Compensation Commission, which is with another arm of government. Okay, I
Okay.
hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Another questions, maybe? For the participant who are joining online, you may raise your questions. Yes, the chat, but none of them. Okay, another questions? Do you have? No? Okay, I know her actually. Yes, but still please mention your name.
My name is Anissa from Medical Faculty. I would like to ask to the second speaker, Prof. Kailin Manalang. How about the interdisciplinary program in Philippines between multiple disciplinary between maybe doctor and PT and also from the industry, from the employer that give them job. Maybe if I can make example, if patient who has maybe car accident that we know from cognitive is okay, but he handicapped after accident. They already done PT and control to doctor, to the physician, but after the incident to go back to work, he need to use wheelchair. How about the other interdisciplinary synergy to promote his return to work? Thank you.
So, thank you for the question. From the process that we presented earlier, there's the component that shows the functional capacity assessment and job modification. So ideally, first it has to be established if the car accident is because of a work-related occasion. Okay, so that's material to providing financing for the rehabilitation. But even if that is not the case, the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, the doctors will have to conduct a functional capacity evaluation or assessment to be able to discern what would be other work that this worker can pursue. Because it might be that the worker can still return to work even if they're wheelchair bound, given a certain modification to the workplace. So, if they are not able to demonstrate that the worker can return to a job that is existing in the company, then that there would be a mechanism wherein there is compensation for that worker to basically retire, if not continue with rehabilitation and also undertake vocational rehabilitation for other types of work. So basically, what we believe in occupational rehabilitation is that we understand thoroughly the disabled worker, and we are able to advise the disabled worker and also their employer on what further work they can safely do despite their disability. And if there is no such available work that could be safely done in the workplace, the employee's compensation system facilitates vocational rehabilitation to bring them to other work. So it's a very ideal system, but basically we'd like to keep the worker still working because they need their work for their sustenance and also for taking care of their families. Employers would rather they have their workers back because they know that they have already invested much training on this worker. To hire a new worker means you have more cost. So it's still in the interest of a business to understand what can be done to bring that worker back. Thank you.
Thank you. You already answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. Actually, our sessions will come to an end, but before I close the sessions, once again, I would like to thanks for our distinguished speakers for the excellent presentations and to all the participants for your thoughtful questions and engagement. I hope today's discussion has promoted new insight and inspiration for all of us. And before I really close these sessions, I would like to highlight a broader concluding remark. We have been reminded that sustainability is not just an abstract concept. It is about choices we make in how we grow our food, how we manage our resources, and how we protect the health and safety of those who contribute to our societies and economies. Okay, and now I would like to officially end up these sessions. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good conference session and enjoy your presentations. And once again, please give a round of applause to our speakers. Thank you very much. And now I hand over the next agenda to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tommy, and please get back to your seat. May I have one round of applause, everyone? What a very insightful discussion we had. I would like to say our deepest gratitude for Professor Kaylin and also Professor Hui for presenting such a great ideas, and also for Dr. Tommy for conducting the plenary very beautifully. And today has been such a wonderful day for me to host this ICoSDev UMM 2025, and moreover, to meet the distinguished participants like you. And I would like to say our very special thank you also for our co-host and also for the guests coming all the way from Taiwan and Philippines. And have a nice journey in the clusters and Indonesia. On behalf of the committee, I would like to apologize for any inconvenience. And we have coffee break ready outside for you. And let me end this event. Thank you very much. And billahi fisabilillah fasabil khairat. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.